here right now working on update in my website. Well, one of them. This would be my Schweet Life website, my lifestyle website. And I experimented for a while, played around with things, and I decided that 2026 is going to be the year that I'm going to go full force with this vision that I have for creating content. And so Schweet Life, it's kind of always been about things that I enjoy doing, that I find enriching, fulfilling, but now kind of documenting more of it. Right now, the major categories are mind, body, and soul. In the past, I used to build websites. I was a web developer, a designer. And so, I had these custom WordPress websites, but, they'd gotten to be a little bit dated and I felt like it needed a refresh. But instead of building something from scratch, I decided to take a look and see if there was a template that I could use that was most of the way there, if not all the way there. And, I would just be able to customize it and tweak and make it work to my specifications. And so that's where I am right now. So over the last few days, what I've been doing is, number one, I located a template that I think works for me. And I'll let you see it here. So this is just the back end of my Schweet Life website, and this is a custom template that I'm creating right now for a blog post. But let's save this. So I've got some of these themes in here, some of which I need to delete. I was initially thinking of these more filmmaking themed themes, but decided against it. Given that this website is more of a lifestyle website, I decided I want to go more in that direction. And with a mind towards, in the future, integrating some e-commerce into it. So cinema, movie director, filmmaker, those are some templates that I'm going to keep in mind, but that's going to actually be for my professional website. So where you'll be seeing this content. Where that's more about the behind the scenes of marketing generally, but then specifically with creating content, video especially. And I played around with, I'll show you, this is the default of this theme, this travel influencer blog theme. And I looked at what they did with it, and I was like, you know what, I think this with some tweaking could actually work. So you see here, this is geared towards let's say either a tour company where you're taking people out to explore a particular destination, or helping people craft itineraries, which is something that I would like to do in the future. But I looked at it and I was like, you know what, I feel like this could work for travel, but I could also adapt it in the future for the body side of things. And so looking at it and how it was set up, I felt okay, I think this is, as far as the features and capabilities, are good ways towards what I want to create here. So let me show you the fuller version of this. So this here is the live preview. And so you see the website, I like that it had the social media buttons in a pretty prominent place. I did remove these sales buttons from here. It's something that I could add in later on. But I did these images that I could include. You scroll down and you have these featured destinations. It's a little, what do you call it, carousel situation here. So that's something that I think I will add in later on once I get my travel itineraries together. There's a little about section. I decided not to include this because I do have an about page. And this is a little bit different because this is more for a company where you would have multiple people, whereas my website is just me. And so you have they have it as featured blog posts as the title for the section, but actually it's a setup showing you that you could use this for items that you're selling. So if you have a particular tour or something like that, you have about packages. So, and then down at the bottom, your most recent blog post, which is something that I really liked. And then, you have the ability to pull in reviews and testimonials and all this kind of stuff. And I think down the road, that would be a great option for me. So I like having that theme has features that I'm not quite ready to use as yet, but I chose the theme with a mind towards where I want things to go in the future. So instead of like, taking the time to set up a theme that, a few months from now might not meet my needs, I wanted to kind of future-proof a little bit, pick something where it'll satisfy the bulk of my needs right now. And, I would have the option to customize it to get it to where I want it to be, but that there's also additional features that I can grow into in the future. So far, it's been like a trial and error kind of situation, trying to, figure things out. But I feel like it's a good ways towards where I want to be. I'll show you the website. You can see I've gone in and I've played around with things a little bit. I've switched out like the generic images to my pictures. I've updated like the social icons, which this was a bit of a learning curve for me. Trying to get things exactly where I wanted it. I kind of moved around what they had as the tour packages, and instead I've broken it out into like the different categories that the website's gonna have. So once I get like these new category pages going, I'm gonna customize those. But the plan is that instead of these just being images with a short description, is that they're actually going to link to the individual categories. And so something that I've been doing is that I have like a color palette that I use, where for mine it's this really nice bright vibrant yellow. For body it's like this red. I think of it as like blood, as heart, courage, and I love the color blue. So I use that for soul. I use like a royal blue for like national, like things within America. And then I use what I think is a more luxurious color. It's like a navy for international travel and experiences. So down here I went ahead, and for right now they're just sort of like placeholders, because in the past it was more like text and photo based content, but now I'm doing videos and a little bit of photos. With the blog post, what I did was I just went ahead for the time being, because I wanted to push down, like I have older content that isn't really as relevant, but I don't necessarily need to delete it. I feel like it just shows the journey of the blog. I wanted that stuff off of the homepage. I wanted to show my more recent stuff. I went ahead and just created like blog posts for the more recent videos that I've created. And so that's what we have here. Right now, these blog posts only contain just the title. There's like a little snippet. And if you click into the page, it just has like the YouTube video embedded. What I've been doing and what's going to be my workflow moving forward is that I've been using a tool to create like an automated transcript of the audio from the video. And what I'm going to do is go back and edit the transcript, and that's going to then become the text of the blog post. And for quite a number of these posts, like I'll sometimes include images within the video, like in addition to like my B-roll and the actual video, there'll be like still images, but I'm going to use some of that within the blog post. So instead of having like for example, like these Miami videos where it's like a vlog, the day 3 vlog is actually quite long because I did a lot on that day. Instead of having like the individual videos, instead what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll identify photos that kind of capture the vibe, and I'm going to put those throughout the blog post instead. So what you'll have is the video at the top of the blog post, and then throughout the post you'll have like relevant images. Okay, so that's the plan. So I went ahead, customized the footer. So I've got like my copyright date in there, information about the theme, that it's customized by me. I've got like my different footer links. Right now, like these categories are set up, but I think I actually have to go in and fix the links for them. So you see if I scroll over soul, like nothing happens. It doesn't indicate that it's a hyperlink, but this is kind of like my navigation menu just in the footer as well. And that's kind of where we are right now. I do have some ads on the website, and it gave me a bunch of problems initially, because in the previous iteration of the website, I had like and this is Google AdSense, so, you know, nothing too fancy or complicated. I did have a Google AdSense ad unit up here at the top of the blog, but it was messing this up because the way that the theme is set up, like the ad was showing behind the navigation menu, and so it was making the items on there pretty hard to read, so I got rid of that. I also didn't like it popping up, like being the first thing that you see when you land on the website. There is this ad unit like below this header image, which, you know, initially I didn't really like it. I don't know that I do right now because I feel like it's like this is breaking away from this here, and I feel like it's getting in the way of my content, so I might get rid of that there. I think ultimately what I might do is just not include any ads on the home page, just so that, you know, because of first impressions, and I want people to be able to get to where they're trying to get to without any distractions. So that's something I'm going to play around with. Like, it took me, I spent forever trying to locate the code for the ads in the header, but with this theme, because it's removed so much of the back end from, you know, your option for editing, that it's like for certain things it can take you, like, you have to kind of work around the theme to make edits and whatnot. So, you know, still a few items outstanding. I'm gonna have to dig into the back end to find that code, so, you know, I can fix like the ad situation. And then also another thing is I'm gonna need to check my like Google Tag Manager, if that's what they're still calling it, like the analytics tags for both Google and Meta, to make sure that it's like properly collecting information. Yeah, but that's where we are right now. So those are the things that I'm going to take care of more on the back end. But for right now, my thing is to get the website up and properly running. I want the underlying function and layout of the website, but I want this to feel like it's mine. So right now, this is the home page. I've got it laid out about how I want it to look. This banner image here, it's decent, but I want the template to feel like it's mine. And so I want an image that I feel more reflects like the vibe that I want to go for. So right now it's going to lean a little bit more towards travel, but in time I'm going to have more of like the exercise and working out and, you know, the personal development, like the mental aspect of it. But for right now, I want to switch out this background to something that feels like it's more closely matches the vibe and feeling that I want. So I like looking at maps, and I had the idea that to either do like a postcard, that's something I might consider, or to do like a map or a combination of the two. So I want to play around with this a little bit. So what I've done is I have this Creative Commons, this public domain vintage map. I want to say this is like from the 1930s or something like that. And it's a world map, but I want you to have I want it to have like the vibe of a map, but it's a part of the background, so I don't want it to be too bold. Then Photoshop, what I want to do is to kind of strip out some of this color, and then I'm going to put an overlay over that. I'm still undecided as to if I want this to have like a postcard element to it, but I'm going to play around with it and see, you know, where things take me. So my first thing is I want to change this to black and white. Okay. Let's see. So let's see what it looks like with a somewhat yellow filter. Yeah, I think that's like pretty good. That's about what I'm looking for. And I want kind of a tannish color. So maybe something along those lines. And this here, I'm gonna change the opacity to about 20%. Maybe let's try a 40. And I actually like that. I do think maybe the background is a little bit too sharp now. So let's see. Let's go. Okay. I kind of like that. And I'm going to come down here. I'm going to duplicate the background. I'm going to turn this layer off. And this here, let's drop that down to, let's say, 50%. And that's a little bit too much. Let's drop it down now to 75. Let's see. Let's just create a rectangle as the background. And this I can drag down below. And I'm going to change the color of this to, let's say, white. Okay. And I think it's getting there. So that's 75. Let's drop it down to 50% and see what it looks like. And I actually like that. I like that I can see the outlines of everything, but it's less detailed. You know, it kind of fades into the background, and with this I can then put additional graphics on top of it. Okay, but for the most part I like how it's looking. Okay, so we'll turn that off. You see I've gotten rid of the color, the levels. I like that. Brightness, I like that. And then I've got my fill there over the top of it, which if you ever think of like those old vintage maps, like they kind of have that yellowed color to it, that kind of parchment color. That's sort of what I'm looking for. And I think actually what I might want to do is to kind of roughen this up a little bit. Okay, so alright, well, let's rasterize this layer. Burlap. I don't want it to be, I feel like this isn't the right texture. It should be, I want it to have like some little flecks of dark bits in it. It's not really the texture that I want. So let's undo that and we'll find something else. I'm going to hit pause on applying the texture. I want to play around with this a little bit more, and I feel like if I have the map in the background, then I have like this postcard theme to it, and then plus I have the texture, I think it might end up being a little bit too much. So I want to play around with the other elements first, see how it looks, and then we'll see if I still need the texture or not. Alright, so what I want to do here is I'm going to just add like a little rectangle, and I'm going to turn this around where I just have the stroke. I'm going to change this to black, and I want this to be a bit thicker. We'll apply it to the inside. And I want to change it from a solid line to more of like a dashed line, kind of giving that vibe of, if you've ever seen like those old-fashioned envelopes where it would have like the blue and red, but I like the black in this case. And let's bump this up to, let's say, 7. Let's try maybe 10. Actually, I think it's a little too dark, so I think I'm going to go with more of like a rich kind of black instead, which is more like a darkish kind of gray. I feel something like that. I feel I'm going to end up adjusting this a bit, but I'm just trying to get the layout figured out. You see with the postcards that usually like the postage information, like the address and whatnot, goes on the right hand side, and then you have this blank space on the left. I'm actually going to flip it for our purposes. It's not going to look the way that a postcard should, but if I go back and I look at the home page, this banner, you see I have like my images on the right hand side, and then I've got my text on the left. I feel it just looks better visually to have it like flipped around, because I feel like the text feels more natural at left with the images at right. So this here, it's going to become like the space for like my address lines, and then the right side will become like where the message is written, and that'll be like my images. Okay, alrighty, so let's see, what do we need to imply that it's a postcard? We need like the line down the middle, a few lines to the one side, and a little postage box. Okay, so what we'll do is I'm going to come here and I'm going to... All right, so my first thing, I wanted to imply a postcard largely through creating like lines over this map. So you think of it, the divider that you would have in the middle, I tried to adjust that so it would be about centered, played around with the shade of black, because again, trying to balance it, not having this background graphic clash with the foreground elements. In addition to that, there's also typically like lines for the address, and like I said, I was going to flip this and have these lines be on the left hand side because that's where my text is on the website. So created the lines, created a little box for the stamp, played around with the stroke, all really just trying to capture the vibe and feeling of a postcard. I saved it, and then from there took it over to WordPress to see what it looked like live. Okay, so I've got it in place and it's a little bit off size wise. All right, so I actually didn't quite like the way that it looked. Like it needed some adjustment. Sizing wise, it was a bit problematic. Looking at it live, things didn't quite line up. But again, that was because, you know, I'm using this somewhat full screen within Fireworks versus this, let's call it a real screen within the WordPress website. So went back over, created a box with the dimensions that would actually be used. I want to say it was 1920 by 700, whereas the original image I think was something more like 1920 by 1080. Or something along those lines. So it needed to be kind of squeezed in a little bit. And so I came in and I did away with the postcard lines and the overall theme because it felt just a little bit too busy as the background for my text and images. A trick that I use to, like when I have things like this, when I'm trying to create something within a specific parameter, is that I'll create a box based on the dimension that I need, and I'll just work within that. So I can use it as a reference point as I'm scaling things up, scaling things down, which is what I did here. And from there, instead of cropping it down, I can kind of work around with things first, get things to where I want it to be. So let's go back, replace this. Upload, and it's now okay, and I actually like that. So let's save this and refresh, and I actually like how that looks. The only thing is that with the black, I think like there's like a little bit too much going on in the background. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go back and just tone it down even more. So let's see. So this here, it's at 100 opacity, and I think I'm going to just tone it down a little bit. Can't do that. So I think I'll have to go back into Photoshop and tone this down a little bit because I feel like it's clashing a bit with the text. I want the text to pop a little bit more, so I need to kind of mellow out the background a bit, like decrease the opacity a bit just so that the text pops out more. But overall, I feel like I like the look of this. And I'll go ahead and I'll, add like a few little like graphics and things like that. I like the lines of longitude and latitude on the map, but I might want like I do have like these little lines and things like that, which I did like from the previous graphic. So let me go ahead and play around with the color of this a little bit more, and I think like I'd be pretty satisfied with it from there. Alright, so here we go. I've gone ahead and adjusted the color of the map. So it's a bit lighter, and I also adjusted the part of the map that I'm using. I noticed like the Canada portion here, it's quite a bit darker, and so it was kind of conflicting with the navigation menu at the top, and the text as well in the middle of the banner was just kind of overlapping the darker parts. So with this, I'm hoping that we'll get a little bit more separation between the background and the text in the foreground. So let's see if maybe we should punch this up just a little bit more, and we'll see. We could start with that. Actually, I think going up a little bit in opacity is a good call. So I'm going to give this a save. And I'll save that as JPEG. I'm actually going to change the name of it. It should be map banner instead. Okay, and I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to replace this image. I just continued fine-tuning the balance of colors and details, just trying to get the right mix, making sure that it was visually interesting, but at the same time not distracting from the elements in the foreground. And ultimately, I feel like I was successful in achieving that. And I just like the right mix of colors and everything like that, got it to a point where I was satisfied with the design. Alright, let's save it and see what it looks like on the home page. And I think that looks a bit better. If anything, I think I'm going to go back and I'm going to change the opacity again, decrease the opacity further, because I want it to be a little bit more, not necessarily abstract, but not quite so much detail, because it's kind of conflicting with the text in the foreground. So we'll change it again. Let's go one more time. So that's 60. Let's try 50. Okay, and I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, and I like that. I feel like dropping down the opacity, you know, I still get the gist of this map in the background, but I feel like the navigation menu stands out more, the text stands out more. I like this. And I do feel like having the postcard aspect to it would have been a little bit too much. What I probably will do is I might add some more images, kind of expand it down into this area here. But for the most part, I'm satisfied with how it looks right now. And that's like, I feel like I'm satisfied with the background. As far as what's going on in the foreground, I most likely will add to it in the future. Like I think I want to have like an image representing each one of the categories. So I think this image here, unless I find something that's a bit better, I think this one here pretty well represents the like the travel aspect. This one here I think is a nice photo, but I think I might want to switch it out with maybe like one of my exercise images. And I did switch out my profile image on several of the social media websites with an image that's from this day but not exactly this background. So I think that might, at least for the time being, be like my author image on the website. So I'm probably going to switch this out, and then I'll keep it in mind and come up with a mind image. It'll probably be like me with a book or some books in the background or something like that. But for right now, I feel like I like this. I think it looks pretty good. And I like, you know, that the heading right now is my Schweet life journey. And then you have like this map in the background. So I'm enjoying this. I feel like it's a better match for what I'm looking for. Okay, and so I do have to go and fix this. Somehow the footer like reset, so I'm going to go back and fix that. But I feel like for the most part, the design of the website is mostly where I want it to be. So from here, it's going to be fix the transcription for the videos so I can put the text into the blog post. So, all right, and that's where we are right now. Thanks for tuning in. To ensure you don't miss any episodes, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, go ahead and click that thumbs up button if you like what you saw, and go ahead and share it on social media.